Well, hey everybody, it's Brad Sugars joining me today. One of the best mentors I've ever met, Michael Losier. How are you, Michael?
Hey, Brad. Hello, everybody.
Thank
Welcome.
you, thank you. Now, normally people are in studio with me. You're in studio live from Canada. He lives in the most gorgeous little island in Canada. It's the most beautiful spot, buddy. How do you ever get to work when you live there?
Well, I actually don't do a lot of work here. Most of my work is outside of Victoria, but I choose to live here because, like you said, it's one of the most beautiful spots in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's the only place that doesn't officially snow.
That is true. Now I
Yeah.
was going back and I was looking over my dates of when we were together first back in Ireland, in Dublin, Ireland was our first event together, and we had that beautiful dinner up in my suite where the chef came and cooked for us. And I think, dang, if only I knew this was on Michael's Law of Attraction list, I would have helped it happen sooner.
Yes.
So
That was a great event.
now, you've written multiple books since, but obviously, team, this was the first book of Michael's that I picked up that got me following him as a mentor, The Law of Attraction. Buddy, take me back to when you first put that book together. What is it about it that's captured people's attention, do you think?
Right. Well, the book is, I was writing it while I was still working for the government. I, I was always kind of into personal development. I was curious about that. So I was taking personal development courses. And honestly, 20 years ago, it was hard to find other people to get on board with that.
Yeah,
But I did. A friend of mine, we started a group. It was just her and I. And in finding law of attraction 20 years ago was pretty rare. So we were getting little excerpts from different things. And then we both studied NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. So we took the kind of the metaphysical spiritualness out of law of attraction and we made it into everyday use.
yeah,
Just her and I. And then we
yeah.
started to get some really good results. And then people around us were saying, "What are you doing? I love how you said that. I love how you worded that." So before you know it, I had 44 people showing up in my living room on a Sunday morning. But, and then that became my real soul food. And I eventually took a 4-day work week with the government. So now I'm working Monday to Friday. I took a cut in pay. And Fridays was my law of attraction day. And I would go anywhere. I'd go to coffee shops, bookstores, women's groups, men's groups, churches. Anybody doing it, I would look in the newspaper to see who's putting on meetings. And I would call that person to say, "Hey, do you need a speaker?" So I worked it.
Yeah,
Fridays became my law of attraction day. And then eventually, probably a few months later, I started doing a full day seminar. And every Friday, Thursday night, Friday, I was out giving these free introductory presentations. And eventually, I got to have 45 people at my first paid seminar. Then after that, I got 100 people at my first paid seminar. And I thought, I think it's time you left the government. So, it was a very smooth it was calculated risk to
yeah,
quit the government job.
yeah.
Very calculated.
So here we are now. We're 20 years later. You've been Oprah's superstar on this. You've been with her so many times. You had your own radio show with her. You've written multiple bestsellers. You've taught law of attraction every part of the world, basically.
That's
Um,
right.
take me through because most people, when you first introduce them to this, get confused by it, Michael, because they've seen that esoteric side of it and the whole theoretical side, and they don't understand the practicality that you've given to it.
Right. Well, the truth is everybody's already experiencing it. Everything they're attracting, whether it's that client that keeps canceling, or you keep getting clients that cancel over and over and over again, or you keep getting people that don't come to the meetings, or you keep when everything's happening in repetitive form, that is law of attraction at work. And if you've ever used the word, "Hey, this is such a coincidence. This is so synchronistic. Hey, everything's falling out of the blue," or "This is bad luck or good luck." See, we're already using those expressions, and those expressions are used to describe law of attraction.
Mm,
So when you said, "Wow, this is such a coincidence," you could really say this is so law of attraction. So here's my point. Law of attraction is already existing, whether you like it or not, or believe it or not, or understand it or not. And everything that you're attracting is because of your vibes. But the good news is, because there's a system, or there's a science behind why we attract things, I teach people how to do it deliberately.
mm,
Instead of just attracting by default, I say, I can teach you how to send the vibe so you can attract what you need, as opposed to just attracting stuff and hoping and wishing and wanting. And that's called deliberate attraction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, buddy, because I mean I've listened over and over and over again to your original speech you did with us in Dublin, and just hammered it into myself. And there's the three words that I consistently watch in my languaging and everyone around me's languaging. Take me into the three words and how that became a thing.
Okay. Well, you see, law of attraction is always responding to the vibe you send. And people say, well, where does the vibe come from? A vibe is simply a mood or a feeling. And everything that you think about and everything you say turns into this thought. And then the thought turns into the feeling or the vibe. And whatever the vibe is, law of attraction matches it. So if you take a look at that sequence, the results that we're getting are coming from the vibe. So whatever vibe I'm sending is creating the results. The vibe that I'm sending comes from the thoughts. And the thoughts that I'm thinking are made up of the words. So whatever I'm giving my attention and energy and focus to, even though I don't get a feeling for it, I have a feeling for it.
Yeah.
You and I talk about anything for 2 or 3 minutes right now, without getting the feeling of it, we're actually giving it attention, energy, and focus.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people think you need to get the feeling for it. You just need to give it attention, energy, and focus.
Yeah.
So, for example, our business friends, they wake up first thing Monday morning and they get a client canceling. And then they say, oh, I hate when clients cancel. And they complain about it. And then they go to IHateClientsCanceling.com. In other words, they're just spending way too much attention. So now they're sending the vibration of canceling clients. And the obedient law of attraction is eavesdropping, responding to that vibration. So then we get another one and another one. And I know they're listening. And we say, well, why is that happening to me?
Yeah.
Well, now you know. It's called law of attraction. Now, to answer your question, if I could reset my vibe, then I would get different results. That's the rule. If you want to get a different result in your business, then you need to send a different vibe. So how do I send a different vibe? Well, I got to be thinking about different stuff. And that's hard for people. Hard to change the thought. But the thoughts that we want to change are the thoughts that include the things that you don't like or don't want. For example, the words don't, not, and no. Whenever I talk about what I don't want, I just gave it attention. So if I was telling you, oh, you know what, Ben, I hate when this happens. I hate when I have a client meeting and 5 minutes before, don't you hate when that, and we're complaining about that, which is a negative vibe. I'm talking about what I don't want. I gave it attention, and now law of attraction responds to it. So here's my easy example. If you go to Google and type in no football, you know what shows up? Football. You see, Google strips away the words don't, not, and no, and it brings to you what you said you didn't want. So law of attraction is like vibrational Google. The input to Google is the output. So if you're attracting something, you had to have been sending the vibration, even if people are denying it.
Yeah.
But what's causing them to send it is every time they talk about what they don't want.
Yep.
So I'm in the brainwashing business. I'm in the business to wash people's brains of the things that are causing them to attract negative things. And it's those three words, don't, not, and no. When I'm complaining, I'm talking about what I don't want. When I'm worrying about what I don't want. When I'm talking about what I don't want, I'm obviously giving attention to any. And then when that thing shows up that I don't want, I'll point at it and say, that's exactly what I said I didn't want. I've been saying all week I didn't want that to happen. And the irony is, I've been plugging it in.
Yeah.
I've been feeding that. And law of attraction isn't very smart.
Yeah.
I really want to hear it. It's not smart, it's obedient. And right now, it's responding to whatever you're giving your attention to. So, between now and when we see each other in February, I want people to get in the habit, every time they use the word don't, not, and no. Matter of fact, I want you to draw a circle, put the words don't, not, and no, and draw the international do not use symbol. In other words, burn that image. And every time you hear the words don't, not, and no, say, well, so what do I want? And here's what happens. When I go from what I don't want to what I do want, the words change. And when the words change, now I'm sending a new vibe. I can only have one vibe at a time. Law of attraction doesn't know what the vibe was yesterday. It's picking up on the vibe that I have today.
Yeah. You know, buddy, it's interesting because I found that this doesn't just work for business. This works in real life. Like with my kids, I mean, as you know, I have 5 kids, and with the twins at 4 years old, I caught myself the other day. My son's jumping on the bed, and I'm like, "Don't jump on the bed!" Duh, Hey kid, get down on the floor. It's like it's not just in business; it's in real life. These things happen, and it's funny how the English language is such a double negative language in many ways.
Yes, and a lot of people don't know how to talk about what they want. They only know how to talk. Now, I know that people that have practiced this work before, I say, well, tell me about your client base. Well, tell me about your ideal client. They say, well, I don't want ones that don't pay on time. I don't want ones that don't have any money. I don't want ones that don't come to meetings. And I was thinking, wow, no wonder why you're getting what you're getting. Law of attraction can't buck that current. It can only match it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of fun that way. It's kind of fun. Buddy, when we get to spend a few hours with you, and I always joke to my team, I say, I think I'd bring Michael back every few years to speak for us just to get me a good jolt in the arm. But there's a shift that happens, and I try to explain to people the difference between reading a book and watching a video and going to a live event. And the only way I can say it is that there's a shift that happens in you as a human at a live event that doesn't happen when you read a book or watch a video. How do you explain that to people?
Yes, well, it's a good question. And in my head, it has a lot to do with accelerated learning techniques. My other book is called Law of Connection, and it is an NLP book just about the 4 learning styles. That's all I cover. How to talk to them, how to teach them, how to ask them questions. So like you, when I'm delivering my training with accelerated learning techniques, people are hearing it, they're saying it, they're seeing it, they're writing it down. They cannot not remember everything because of all the ways that I tapped into their learning styles.
Now, it's funny because when you use that not, people are like, hang on, didn't he just say not to use not? It's like you're still getting the central theme of it.
That's right. Oh, and trust me, I get the don't not no police after me if I post something with the word don't not and no in it. But to me, that means I did a good job. I trained someone's brain. Every time they use the word don't, not, no, say, so what do I want? Because when you go from what you don't want to what you do want, the words change. Now the words change, now the thoughts change, now the thoughts change, now the vibe change, you get different results.
Yeah. I know I gave the book to all of my team, and I did it again this last, a few months ago to my team. And the languaging around the office, you watch it shift. That's why I like when we do the Business Excellence Forum, people bring their executives of their team, and the whole languaging shifts. It changes the culture of the organization. I think that's a fun part of it.
Yes. Well, I can see the benefit of coaches teaching their business, people that they're mentoring, to bring this information and bring it to their workplace. Because you can do all the wishing and wanting and planning and executing of ideas, but boy, when energy gets involved in that, in other words, when the shift happens. So I see a lot of coaches wanting to pass this on, and I know some of them have done that already, teaching everybody about the don't, not, and no. And it's easy to teach.
Yeah, it's very easy to teach, but when you get it from a master such as yourself, it's just an entirely different experience, I guess, is probably the thing. I want to ask you too, Mike, because it must have been fun when you did the whole Oprah thing too, because I think that's always a fun part of, when you got that phone call, like the Oprah people coming through to you, because they're like, we need an expert on this, we need the right person. Tell me a bit about that, because I think that's a fun experience for people to understand about you and about why it's so powerful what you teach.
Well, I remember for many years teaching seminars locally in Victoria, I would always joke about, I wanted to be Michael Mondays. And at this time, Dr. Phil was on Tuesdays. So it was Dr. Phil Tuesdays. I mean, I'm living on a little island on the west coast of Canada, right? So in my head, it was just talking. I want to be Michael Mondays. I want to be Michael Mondays. At the end of the day, after I had my own, Oprah interviewed me 4 times, I was Michael Monday. I was on the Oprah show, a radio show, 4 times a day for 60 days. I was Michael every day. But I remember and what had happened is that The movie The Secret came out, which was produced 2 years after I wrote my book. There was lots of people talking about law of attraction. Everybody said, Oprah, you've got to get the secret people. So she ended up having the secret people, and with all due respect, there was 4 or 5 of them, and they were contradicting each other, and I'm really surprised that the show got aired. I mean, and I'm sitting at a hotel in Victoria, in Vancouver, waiting to go to a seminar. And I'm thinking, wow, I just heard them use the word law of attraction like 17 times. They didn't use the word secret. So I'm going online, I'm in the hotel room, and I looked and I was 197 in Amazon. And that's pretty good for a self-published author living on an island on the west coast of Canada. Then after the show, and I was leaving, I had somebody downstairs picking me up, and my friend buzzed me and said, we're going to pick you up. And I said, give me 5 more minutes. So at 5 o'clock, I was pressing Amazon, and then it changed, and I went to number 9. And then I went from number 9 to number 3, and I stayed at number 3. And then that's when everything changed for me. And I was scheduled for one 30-minute interview with Oprah, and it turned into 4 30-minute interviews. Matter of fact, after the first interview, I was in Vancouver, and it was February, so I put a jacket on, and I put my knapsack on and a hat on. And after the first interview, the producer taps on the glass and said, Oprah. And as you know, sometimes in a radio interview, they just cut you off. And so I thought, oh, she's coming back to say thank you. And she said, you heard him last week. So I brought him back again for interview number 2. And I'm fully dressed with the hat on, with the headset over the hat, with my knapsack, everything zipped up in the second interview. And that happened 4 times in a row. And I made a lot of sense. And she was actually, the producer said she was carrying my book in her purse. I said, can you Instagram that, please?
You know what, buddy? I love going back, and because you not only did those interviews with Oprah that people can go back and listen to, but you're extraordinarily open in your teaching. Where I forget what podcast, what number are you up to now on your YouTube? Every Friday you're like 300 interviews or something like that.
Yeah, 260 interviews.
Dang.
I know. So actually, just the last 4 weeks, I changed the format because I'd always talk about my books, and then I thought, I've got nothing left. So right before the show, I thought, you know what? Ask me anything. And you know what? It turned out to be a massive hit. So now, even though I'm doing, still, I think we're up to 272, now I'm doing Ask Me Anything, and I'm getting inundated with questions, and I'm good at, I remember Oprah interviewing me. She said, do you want to know the questions in advance? And I said, no, just bring them on. So that's my real sweet spot. It's just answering, reading the questions, answering it. I don't have to plan a topic or anything. So it's still alive and kicking. It's doing really well.
Yeah. Look, I think that it's wonderful. And I know for me, I'm the same as you. I like just interviews where we just have a chat and take it where it goes and that sort of thing. Of course, I got some pre-notes here that I always ask about. But I think that, a very big part of why, Michael, you're very successful at teaching this is that it is something that you have a passion for, and it is at your core of something that it changed your life, so you've now helped other people change their life with it. I want to ask you about some of the most fun stories of people that you've helped with this, because you've told a few in seminar over the years of when you've changed people's lives by using law of attraction. And I know we could do yours and my story, but I think it's fun to hear about other people who've used it and changed their life as well.
Well, there's always 3 main areas: relationships, career, and money. Those 3. And the first thing that I do is that I teach people about what is the vibe that you're sending. And if people are curious and they want to know what the vibe is they're sending, they just need to take a look at their results. So I've had business people, for example, I've helped them resend the vibe for their ideal referral, their ideal sale, their ideal customer or client, their ideal, all the different elements of their business. And when they take a look at what they said about all those areas, they're thinking, wow, no wonder, I'm not doing well. So I would say a lot of my main success cases are around business people that really got it. And then I teach them, I say, those 4 clients that you had today and the one that you really liked, give them all the attention in your head today. Just to get to see the results, they would say, and of course I get these kind of emails, you'll never believe this. You'll never guess what. And I'm thinking, I would never guess it, but I'll always believe it.
Yeah.
Because law of attraction unfolds and orchestrates things for us in ways that we could never imagine. It's like, I think I'm going to meet my next client at the networking meeting. And it ends up being at the, at the Starbucks lineup, and you've got a big, those kind of things. It's the alignment of the energy.
Yeah. I think that, I look at a lot of the business clients that we've had that we've introduced to your work, and just allowing them to make that simple, I guess, recognition of the fact that they need to put attention and desire to these things. Um, what are some habits that people need to develop around this? I guess is probably where I want to go, is because it's easy to learn it but to continuously do it is a challenge for some people, or they make it a challenge, I guess.
Well, I have the advantage of, because I'm in this energy all day. I'm talking about it, I'm being interviewed about it, so I don't have to reach out and be deliberate, but I know most people do. So first thing I would do is that I would enroll everybody. I would enroll everybody in the workplace, and a lot of people do this. I would make my book mandatory reading, so everybody's on the same page. And this book has been very helpful for businesses that have toxic environment workplaces. And that toxicity comes from people complaining and worrying. And so when that language starts to change in the workplace, so the first thing is surround yourself with people like it. Now, the challenge is in personal relationships, if people don't ask the question, they don't always hear the answer. So we have to be a little bit more careful around wanting to introduce it to our spouses and our children, because they didn't ask the question and we're excited and want them to get into it. So in that case, you need to model it.
Mm-hmm.
You just model, and then you have to use the word law. You have to come out of the law of attraction closet and say, oh, wow, look what I just attracted with love. And then they'll eventually say, well, what's that? And then you can enroll your family. But for sure, make it mandatory in the workplace. And then when you talk about, when someone uses the word don't, not, and no, you can align them to say the right things so they understand why you're doing it.
Yeah.
It's not to correct them, it's to support them. It's like, oh, good, thanks for that reminder.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know for my kids, the only way I get them interested in a subject is I leave the books lying around, or I leave stuff lying around, and one of my kids will pick it up, and it's kind of fun that way. So, but when you look at the law of attraction, you've written the book a long time ago. The law is the law. It's an innate thing that is just part of. It's kind of like gravity. It is what it is. Helping people understand it, apply it, and use it has been something you've been amazing at. It's why we bring you back all the time to come and teach it. But a lot of our clients have never, ever even been exposed to it. And it's kind of like, wow, that's kind of this whole new thing for them. I think that it's kind of exciting for them today, and I hope they all get your book now so that they can start reading before they learn from you, so they at least get some sort of a thing. So start with this one, Law of Attraction. If you've read that, Law of Connection. Michael is a prolific writer, kind of like me, so keep reading all of his stuff. Watch his YouTube channel. Make sure you learn a whole bunch there. But Michael, when someone learns this for the first time, or those that have learned it and get a refresher on it, it just changes who they are or the way they see things. How can they expect, you and I know this, right? You and I know it changes people's lives dramatically if they use it. How do you explain that to someone that's a first timer with this stuff? Because it's hard I find it hard some days to help people really get how powerful what you teach is.
Yes, well, thank you. Well, there's a couple things. One is, I think there's a lot of people, when they hear it for the first time, they're not totally surprised. It's again, oh yeah, that's happened to me before. I remember once when I thought about something and I go to the bookstore and someone was talking about it, or I turn on so the experience isn't new to people. What's new is how to do it deliberately. And for me, I think that's where that creates hopefulness. And hopefulness is excitement. It's like, you know what? I think I can do this. This is manageable. He's just asking me to change a few words. He's asked me to focus on a couple things. He's given me the 3-step formula. I know exactly what to do. And we love a formula because it never expires.
Yeah.
Here's the formula. My ideal client, my ideal referral, my ideal sale, my ideal growth club member, my ideal corporate event, my ideal, and then you just bang them out. And then, because you need to know what you want. If you go to Google, you need to know what you want. If you're going to order a pizza, you need to know what you want. You can't call and say, here's all the things that I don't want. So law of attraction, which is like vibrational Google, is saying the same thing. You've got to be clear about what you want. And I think the hopefulness that people can say, you know what, this is doable, is what's really helpful.
I love it. I love it perfectly. So, gang, South Carolina, we're going to be there next February. We're going to have a great time. Make sure you're there. I know most of you already signed up to come, but if you haven't, please sign up. Bring your team along. Michael's one of our great speakers at the event. I'm really excited about it, buddy, getting to hang out with you again and learn from you and get a good refresher and a reminder for myself. Take care, Michael.
Okay, everybody. See you later. See you in February.
Thanks, buddy. Bye now, everybody.